Welcome to Podnutz Daily for December 1st, 2008, episode number 113. This is me coming back after a couple weeks of not doing a show, and I'm happy to be back. Thank everybody for coming back. I didn't go anywhere, and I'm glad nobody else did too. I really appreciate you guys hanging there and there with me. What I used the time for was I did working on a couple projects I've been meaning to get done, and some didn't get completely done, but at least I made a lot of progress, so I'm real happy with what I did. One of the things I did was I upgraded the Podnutz.com website to a new platform. Instead of just using Dreamweaver, I'm using a content management system called Drupal to do the site, which allows me to put new podcasts on if I'm starting a new podcast easily. It allows me to put episodes up on the site easily and make changes easily to the site instead of actually going in there and editing static HTML, which was just getting to be too much with all the episodes and with everything else that was going on. So the site's going to look pretty much the same, but it's in the background. It's a lot different. It's a lot easier for me, and it's going to allow me to post shows a lot quicker. And I also, because of popular demand, I put a donation link on the website. If you guys ever wanted to donate to Podnutz Daily, or the Podnutz.com network, which is what it is now. It's a tech network, tech podcast network. You could donate on the site, and all donations would be very much appreciated. It'll ease my, ease the lines a little bit here as far as getting things done, getting new equipment, and being prepared for the show, I guess. So that's appreciated. Okay, let's get into some. Where'd my notes go? There they are. Let's get into some stuff I encountered at the shop last 2 weeks. Now, a smart person would be one who, in these 2 weeks while I was working, take notes of everything I did while I was at the shop. This way I could talk about it on the show. But I didn't do any of that, so I'm just doing it from memory. I'll remember a lot of stuff, guys, don't worry. But I did encounter a lot of cool stuff this last 2 weeks that I do want to talk about. And throughout this next week, I will remember most of it. First thing is, yesterday I had a program computer. It was a HP DV 6000 laptop. The problem with this one was whenever the girl tried to log on to her Gmail account, whenever she would try to type things in Gmail, the system would hang up every, 10, 15 characters. So when she's typing, and she was a very fast typist, when she's typing, Gmail would be missing characters. It wouldn't take all the characters down and allow her to write a full email without missing some of the characters. So, she'd be typing something and then look up or whatever at the screen, and half of the things that she typed were not there. What this actually turned out to be was a problem with Gmail and Internet Explorer. If you use a different link, and I found this out by going into Gmail in the help section, it is in general questions and answers, or FAQ. One of the common problems or common symptoms or something like that, it actually talks about Internet Explorer missing characters. So they provide a link that if you use that link with Gmail, it doesn't happen. Or if you just use Firefox, it doesn't happen either. But originally I thought it had something to do with the autosave. Like Gmail was constantly autosaving, and every time it tried to autosave your email, it would cut out characters. But that wasn't the case. It was actually just a problem with Internet Explorer. And it wasn't a problem with Internet Explorer itself. It was a problem with Gmail interfacing with Internet Explorer. Because I went ahead and I reset all the Internet Explorer settings. Made sure she had enough memory, because she was running low on memory, so I turned off a lot of processes and freed up some memory. Still didn't work. I tried a bunch of things before I actually went on the Gmail website and looked at that, and that's what the problem was. So you should use Firefox if you're going to be using Gmail, or use that certain link that I don't have on me right now. But if you're having that problem with Internet Explorer and Gmail, there's a link you could use. If you still want to use Internet Explorer, use that link and you'll be okay. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is a Sony Vaio laptop. This is the one, and I basically just finished it last night, guys. This is the one that was driving me crazy. I had a Sony Vaio, about 14 months old. Really nice Vaio, like a $1,500 machine. And usually on the Vios, when you have to order a motherboard, which is what it needed a motherboard. When you have to order a motherboard, they're expensive for the Sony. So, out of my own pocket, bought a motherboard for a customer because the computer was basically doing nothing. It was dead. You would press the power button, you would get absolutely nothing. So I originally ordered a motherboard, and I talked about this, a couple weeks ago about what was happening with this particular Vio. I'm just going to go over it again real quick in case anybody missed it. So the computer was dead, wouldn't even turn on, no lights, no LEDs, nothing. So I assumed it was the motherboard, and that's, 90% of the time that's the case. Or unless it was a power jack problem. But I checked the power jack, everything was fine with the power jack, and the power adapter was fine. So it wasn't those two, I rolled those two out. It was the motherboard. So I ordered a new motherboard, put the new motherboard in, put everything back together, tried it out, and same problem. Same problem, no power, no nothing. So I'm scratching my head here because the motherboard that they sent me, and I never dealt with this seller before. It was off eBay, and I never dealt with the seller, so I'm like, maybe he sent me a dead motherboard. But he also sent me, along with the motherboard, a statistics sheet of all the tests they ran with this motherboard proving that it worked. So I'm like, I never used this seller before. Maybe they're trying to pull one over on me. I know they included this little sheet with all the testing statistics on it, but it's still not powering on. I'm still not getting any LEDs. So I sent it back. I said, this motherboard's dead. Can you send me another one? So I sent it back to them. He sent me another one. I put the new one in the machine. Same thing. It was dead. So at this point, I had a strong feeling that it wasn't the motherboard. Even though I never dealt with the seller, they could have been selling two motherboards. I was in good email communication with the guy who sold it to me. He seemed like a legitimate guy, wasn't trying to pull anything over on me. He said the motherboards that I sent back to him worked, so it must be something else. So I figured, okay, it's not the motherboard. The only other thing it could be is the processor. So it being a new Sony Vaio laptop, or a relatively new laptop, it had a new chip in it. So I went out and I replaced the processor with another Core 2, a mobile Core 2 Duo chip. I got on Craigslist for $65, put it in his machine with the new motherboard, powered everything up, still nothing. Dead, no lights, no LEDs, nothing. At this point, I wanted to cry. So instead of crying, I think I just threw a couple things around the office. Once I calmed down, I sat down, I took a look at this laptop. The only other thing it could possibly be on this Vaio laptop is attached to the motherboard is a separate circuit board. And it's like a circuit board that branches off of the motherboard, and it has like that new express card slot, whatever they call that, the new express slot. It's like a PCMCIA slot, except a lot smaller. It also has LEDs on it that show with status LEDs, like if the power's